SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fan, things are heating up in Minnesota. There is trade talk that could bring a veteran and very dangerous running back to the offense. There is also a draft scenario that could place an explosive young talent in Minnesota's backfield. At the same time, the franchise made an internal decision that split opinions among fans. There is also evaluation of a major free agency signing on the market. And in the middle of all this, a big opportunity has appeared for a curious reunion with a familiar face from the team's past. Stay until the end and catch all these updates. There is a move happening on the market that started quietly, but it could turn into a very interesting trade for the Vikings. In recent days, a team in the NFC decided to invest heavily at the running back position. A new player arrived, a big contract was signed, and expectations are high for him to take over the primary role in the offense. When a signing of that magnitude happens, a question immediately spreads around the entire league. If there is already a new offensive plan for that position, what happens to the veteran who used to hold that spot? That is exactly when one name started circulating behind the scenes in the NFL. A running back every fan recognizes. A player who is extremely versatile and dangerous with the ball in his hands. We are talking about Alvin Kamara. After the arrival of a new running back in New Orleans, several analysts began raising the possibility of a trade involving the veteran running back. And among the teams mentioned as potential landing spots was Minnesota. Now think about this for a moment. The Vikings are reorganizing their backfield after the departure of Aaron Jones. Jordan Mason showed some interesting things when he had the opportunity. He ran hard, produced important yards, and finished last season with solid numbers. Even so, the veteran's style of play would bring something completely different to the offense. He is not just a traditional running back. He functions as a complete weapon in the offensive system. He can catch passes out of the backfield and turn simple plays into big gains. He breaks tackles and changes direction quickly. He also has the vision to find running lanes that very few players see. That completely changes how defenses have to build their game plan. The Saints star has already surpassed 7,000 rushing yards in his career. He also has more than 600 receptions. He has scored more than 80 touchdowns, combining rushing and receiving. That consistent production over the years shows the type of impact he can have inside an offense. Now imagine that player sharing the field with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Defenses would have to choose who to focus on in almost every play, and one wrong choice could turn into an explosive gain. Of course, there is one important point in this discussion. The veteran back enters the 2026 season at 31 years old. He is still productive, but any trade would need to consider age, contract structure, and his role on the roster. He is still productive. Any trade would need to consider age, contract structure, and his role on the roster. Even so, many fans have started discussing this possibility. Sometimes it is not about finding a running back for the next decade. Sometimes the goal is to bring in a piece capable of elevating the offense immediately. And this player still has that kind of impact. If Minnesota truly enters these trade discussions, it could be a strategic move that gives the offense a completely new dimension. But while that possibility continues to be debated, there is another path that could bring a young and explosive talent into the Vikings backfield. Quick request, subscribe to the channel and jump into the comments as well. The fans' opinions matter a lot here. While many people are looking at the market thinking about trades or signings, there is another path that has started gaining traction in Minnesota. That path goes directly through the draft. Behind the scenes in the NFL, some analysts began discussing which team might move up the board to land a truly special talent in this class. And interestingly, one of the teams most frequently mentioned in that conversation was the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, Minnesota holds the number 18 pick in the draft. That is not a bad position, but it might not be enough to secure one of the most explosive players available. That is when an interesting idea emerged. What if the Vikings tried to move up in the draft through a trade? Some analysts suggested a scenario where Minnesota could negotiate with Washington to move up to the number 7 overall pick. That is a major jump, 11 spots in the first round. Still, there is logic behind that possibility. The Vikings hold 2 third-round picks this year. They could also include future picks to complete the trade package. That type of combination often convinces a team to move down in the draft, and all of this centers around one specific player, a running back who exploded onto the college football scene recently. His name is Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. If you have not watched him play yet, it is worth checking out some highlights. Love finished last season with more than 1,300 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. He also showed receiving ability. He contributed catches out of the backfield. But what really caught scouts' attention was his combination of size and speed. He stands about 6 feet tall and weighs a little over 210 pounds. Even with that size, he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.36 seconds at the Combine. That is wide receiver level speed. Many analysts have compared his playing style to Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs is a running back who is currently one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in the division. Love runs with explosiveness and has strong field vision. He also has incredible acceleration once he finds space. He is the type of running back who can turn a small opening in the offensive line into a long run. There is also one detail that excited part of the fan base. Jeremiah Love himself recently said he would like to play in Minnesota. In an interview, he mentioned it would be a blessing to wear that uniform and share the field with talented players on the roster. Now imagine this offense operating. Justin Jefferson stretching the field, Jordan Addison threatening on the opposite side, and an explosive running back emerging in the backfield. That would completely change the offensive dynamics of the Vikings. Of course, there is a risk involved. Love's draft stock is rising quickly across the league. Some projections suggest he could be selected even before the 7th overall pick. That means if Minnesota truly wants this talent, the team may need to act aggressively on draft night. But while that possibility continues to grow among analysts and fans, the Vikings also made an internal decision that ended up dividing opinions among supporters. Now let's talk about a move that does not involve a trade. It does not involve the draft, and it does not involve a massive signing. Even so, it managed to divide a large portion of Vikings fans. This was an internal decision by the franchise. One of those moves that looks small when it appears in the headlines, but actually says a lot about a team's philosophy. In recent days, Minnesota decided to extend the contract of a veteran who rarely receives the spotlight, a player who almost never gets attention on television. But when something goes wrong during a play, everyone notices immediately. His name is Andrew DePaola. The Vikings extended the long snapper on a 1-year, fully guaranteed contract worth $1.725 million. For those who do not follow the details of football operations, the long snapper is responsible for snapping the ball on field goal attempts, extra point kicks, and punts. He must place the ball with perfect accuracy into the hands of the holder or the punter, every single time. No mistakes. One small detail can ruin an entire kicking attempt. DePaola has been performing this role in Minnesota since the year 2020. During that time, he built a very solid reputation across the league. He was selected to the Pro Bowl 3 times between the years 2022 and 2024. That is quite rare for special teams specialists. Even so, when the contract was announced, the fan reaction was mixed. Some supporters looked at the contract value and were surprised. On social media, some people commented that nearly $2 million to snap the ball seemed excessive. Others joked that they chose the wrong career path. But on the other side of the debate, many fans defended the decision, because anyone who closely watches football understands one key point. The best long snapper is the one nobody talks about. If nobody mentions his work, it means everything is functioning perfectly, and that has been the story of DePaola's career in Minnesota. On top of that, the Vikings have had one of the most consistent special teams units in the league recently. Kicker Will Reichard converted more than 90% of his field goal attempts. Punter Ryan Wright averaged close to 49 yards per punt. Those numbers depend on perfect execution in every detail of the play: snap, hold, and kick. If the first step fails, everything collapses. That is why many analysts see this extension as a stability move. Minnesota is making sure that one part of the team that works well continues to work well. Still, the discussion among fans continues. Some believe it is a smart investment. Others believe the team could have saved money at the position. And while that internal decision continues to generate debate, the market kept moving, and the Vikings attempted to make a major signing that ended up slipping away. Now we return to the market because there was a major signing the Vikings tried to make. It ended up slipping away at the last moment. During the first days of free agency, Minnesota entered the race for a running back that many fans viewed as the ideal replacement for Aaron Jones. The player had consistent production, a good age profile, and experience as a dual threat in the offense. For a few days, it looked like there was a real chance of a deal. But another team entered the negotiations aggressively and changed the entire situation. The running back in question is Travis Etienne Jr. He ended up signing with the New Orleans Saints on a 4-year contract valued at $52 million. Etienne is only 27 years old and has already shown the ability to produce at a high level in the NFL. After missing his rookie season because of a foot injury, he became an important piece of the Jacksonville offense. In multiple seasons, he surpassed the mark of 1,000 rushing yards. He also showed strong receiving ability. He contributed catches out of the backfield. Last season, he finished with more than 1,000 rushing yards. He also added valuable receiving production. We are talking about a complete running back, a player capable of running between the tackles. He can also attack the perimeter and catch passes in the short passing game. When the Saints decided to invest heavily in that signing, the negotiation essentially ended at that moment. Minnesota was interested but did not match the final contract value. And looking at the situation objectively, that decision might make sense. Investing more than $50 million in a running back always carries risk, especially when the team is still evaluating other options at the position. The Vikings still have Jordan Mason on the roster, and he showed some promising things last season. Mason finished the year with more than 700 rushing yards. He averaged nearly 5 yards per carry. Those numbers suggest he could play a larger role in the offense. Even so, the attempt to sign Etienne clearly shows that Minnesota is actively looking to strengthen the backfield. That could happen through free agency. It could also happen through a trade or through the draft. The team knows it needs balance between the running game and the passing attack, because when the offense can run the football effectively, everything becomes easier for the quarterback and the wide receivers. But while Minnesota continues searching for solutions in the backfield, the NFL market is also shifting in other areas of the roster. And that movement opened the door for a curious situation involving a familiar name from the Vikings' past. Some stories in football seem small at first, but when you look closer, they can have a real impact on the environment inside a team. This one involves a familiar face for Vikings fans. In recent days, a team in the AFC made roster adjustments in order to clear salary cap space. Among those moves, one release caught attention. A veteran tight end suddenly became available on the market. We are talking about Johnny Mundt. The Jacksonville Jaguars released Mundt after just one season with the team. He had originally signed a 2-year contract with the franchise, but eventually lost playing time within the tight end rotation. During the last season, he appeared in 16 games and played nearly 400 offensive snaps. In the passing game, he was targeted 19 times. He finished with 9 receptions for 111 yards. Those are not huge numbers, but the role of a third tight end rarely shows up in statistics. These players often contribute through blocking assignments, short routes, and specific situations within the playbook. The reason Mundt's name caught attention in Minnesota is simple. Kevin O'Connell trusts him. The head coach worked with Johnny Mundt previously and has always shown strong respect for the player. In an interview a few years ago, O'Connell even said he considered Mundt one of the most reliable tight ends in the league for depth roles within a roster. He highlighted the player's reliability inside the huddle and his ability to execute multiple responsibilities within the offense. That type of relationship between coach and player carries weight when the possibility of a reunion appears. In addition, Mundt already wore purple and gold for 3 seasons in Minnesota. During that time, he appeared in multiple games and contributed as a blocker in the running game. He also made occasional appearances in the passing attack. He understands the team's offensive system and already has familiarity with parts of the roster. That makes a potential return far from impossible. Of course, the Vikings already have players at the tight end position. Even so, bringing in a reliable veteran to complete the rotation could make sense within the coaching staff's philosophy. And when it comes to Kevin O'Connell, trusted players often find their way back onto the roster. After everything that has surfaced in the past few days, it is clear the Vikings are in a very interesting phase of roster building. There is trade discussion involving Alvin Kamara. There is the possibility of a talent like Jeremiah Love arriving through the draft. There was the quiet contract extension of Andrew DePaola ensuring stability on special teams. We also saw the Travis Etienne signing slip away in free agency. And now there is the possibility of a reunion with Johnny Mundt inside Kevin O'Connell's system. When you connect all these pieces, it becomes clear that Minnesota is working to fine-tune the roster in order to compete at a higher level. Every decision matters. Every signing, every trade, and every player entering or leaving the roster shifts the direction of the team a little. Now I want to hear from you. Jump into the comments and tell me which of these developments caught your attention the most. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go!